everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. We always say the best discoveries are often hidden in plain sight. And today, we're diving into some real treasure. We're talking about success principles from the one and only Napoleon Hill.
That's right. But
But here's the twist.
yeah,
We're not talking about his famous books like Think and Grow Rich, though that's a must-read, of course. We're going even deeper.
we are going deeper.
Uncovering a collection of his never-before-published radio lectures, and get this, these were delivered in, of all places, Paris, Missouri.
Paris, Missouri. You might be thinking, Paris, Missouri.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's a fair question. But let me tell you, the wisdom Hill shared in those lectures, it's anything but small-town thinking.
Okay, so Paris, Missouri, Napoleon Hill, what did he talk about? What's the big secret he was sharing with them?
Well, he called these talks his success habits, really honing in on 7 key principles he believed would resonate most with folks out there.
And I'm guessing these principles, they're not stuck in the past, are they? They still apply today.
Absolutely. These principles are as relevant today as they were back then, maybe even more so in our fast-paced world.
I like it. Timeless wisdom for getting things done. So I guess our mission today is to unearth those hidden principles, those success habits, and more importantly, figure out how we can actually apply them in our lives.
Think of it like this. We're handing you the cheat codes to Hill's playbook for success.
Okay, I love that analogy. Cheat codes to success. So let's unlock this. What's the first principle we're going to unpack?
First up, the cornerstone of Hill's entire philosophy, definiteness of purpose.
Definiteness of purpose. Okay, I've heard that before. Isn't that just like a fancy way of saying set goals?
It's so much more than just setting goals. It's about clarity, focus, having that crystal clear vision of what you want to achieve. Hill saw this as the guiding force that shapes every decision, every action, your entire life's trajectory. In fact, he even had this really amazing personal story about it.
Oh, yeah. Tell me more.
So Hill, he wrote down his desired income. He put it as $10,000. Then he took his pencil and added a zero, changing it to $100,000.
Wow, talk about bold moves. But did it work?
Absolutely. Shortly after, he received a contract for $100,000 to write sales literature.
Now that's what I call putting it out into the universe and having it come back to you. But I do have to ask, is it really that simple?
Well, there's a bit of a cautionary side to this story, too. You see, Hill actually later lost that income due to a contract oversight.
Oh no, what happened?
He didn't carefully review all the details, didn't dot his I's and cross his T's. It's a good lesson for all of us. Definiteness of purpose also means being meticulous, seeking expert advice when you need it.
Ouch, that's a tough lesson to learn. So it's not enough to just wish for something, you have to be smart about it too.
Exactly.
So how do we apply this definiteness of purpose beyond just, writing down a bigger number and hoping for the best?
Well, Hill had a really practical approach to this. He believed in clear communication, not just for ourselves, but also when we're giving instructions to others. He had this brilliant little formula. He called it the WWWWH formula.
WWWH, now that has a nice ring to it. Break it down for us.
It stands for what, when, where, why, and how.
Makes sense.
Whenever you're giving someone instructions, be crystal clear about what needs to be done, what it needs to be done by, where it needs to happen, why it's important, and how to do it. It seems simple, but you'd be surprised how often these little details get overlooked.
Oh, you are preaching to the choir. I have been on the receiving end of some, shall we say, not so clear instructions.
And here's the kicker. Hill emphasized the importance of following up. Don't just assume things are getting done. Check in, offer support, make sure everyone's on the same page.
What, when, where, why, how, and then follow up.
I love it. That's golden advice right there. So, definiteness of purpose, check. What's the next principle in Hill's success formula? Get ready for this one because it's a bit more intense. Accurate thinking, or as Hill liked to call it, cold-blooded thinking.
Ooh, cold-blooded thinking. That sounds a little intimidating, but also intriguing. This is where things get really interesting. Ooh, yeah. Cold-blooded thinking. That sounds a little intimidating, but also intriguing. And this is where things get really interesting.
Yeah, cold-blooded thinking, it does have a certain, a certain ring to it. But don't worry, it's not as scary as it sounds. It's really about being ruthlessly objective. Basing your decisions on facts, not hearsay, not assumptions, not, those clickbaity headlines we all see every day.
So cutting through the noise, getting to the heart of what's really going on.
Exactly.
Which I imagine is super important these days. Everybody's got an opinion. It's easy to get swept up in the latest trends.
It really is, and Hill saw this happening even back in his day. He used to say, don't believe everything you read in the papers. And coming from a newspaper man, He knew a thing or two about how easily information can be skewed or manipulated.
He was ahead of his time, wasn't he? Fake news, here we come. Okay, but how do we know what to believe? I mean, we are absolutely bombarded with information these days. How do we filter out all that noise and find those important facts that you're talking about?
Great question. Hill talked about this a lot. It's not just about finding facts. It's about knowing which facts are relevant to your goals. Think about it this way. Like, if you're driving to a destination, right, you see tons of details along the way, right?
Mhm.
Other cars, billboards, shops, whatever. But those details, they're not relevant to your goal of reaching your destination.
Okay, so it's like those things are just distractions from what I'm really trying to achieve.
Exactly. Focus on the essential facts, the actions that move you closer to what you want.
So it's not about ignoring everything, it's about prioritizing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's the kicker. Hill, he was wary of making decisions based solely on emotions or even on, well-intentioned advice from others.
Really?
He really challenged people to think for themselves, analyze situations objectively, and then make their own decisions based on their own assessment of the situation.
I like that. It's about taking ownership of your choices, not letting your emotions or other people's opinions cloud your judgment. It's about being in the driver's seat of your own life.
Precisely.
And you know what? That kind of reminds me of another one of Hill's principles.
And that ties in perfectly with our next principle, which, to be honest, can be a bit tricky. Applied faith.
Yeah, applied faith. I'll be honest, that one always kind of throws me off a bit. Makes me think of, religion and spirituality. But I know Hill wasn't talking about that.
You're right. It's not about religion at all. Hill was very specific about that. He saw applied faith as a state of mind, really a way of being that focuses on an unshakable belief in yourself and your ability to achieve your goals.
Okay, so it's more about cultivating that inner confidence, that deep down knowing that you've got what it takes.
Exactly. And there's another layer to this. Hill also believed in tapping into what he called infinite intelligence.
Infinite intelligence. Okay, now I've got me really curious. What did he mean by that?
He believed that there's this universal power, a source of wisdom and energy that connects all of us. Think of it like, I don't know, a limitless well of creativity and knowledge
Yeah.
that we can all tap into if we know how.
Okay, that's getting pretty out there, but I'm intrigued. So how do we actually tap into this infinite intelligence?
Hill believed it was accessible through deep thought, unwavering belief, and a deep conviction in your ability to achieve your goals.
So it's like if we combine that clear sense of purpose that we talked about earlier with this like unshakable faith in ourselves and maybe in something bigger than ourselves, that's when things start to get really interesting.
You got it. And actually, Hill had this great story about it. He had this acquaintance who needed $1,500, and he needed it within a week, but he didn't have the money.
$1,500, that was a lot of money back then.
Oh, yeah. It was a significant amount. And Hill told him, write a check for the amount, date it a week in advance, as if the money was already on its way.
Wait, so he's telling his friend to write a check that he can't cash.
Basically,
Bold move. I'm guessing it worked though, right?
it did.
Yeah.
2 days later, the acquaintance, he received $1,500 from an unexpected source, cashed the check, and actually, he framed it as a reminder of the power of applied faith.
Wow. See, that's incredible. That's what I'm talking about. But even with all the faith in the world, we all face setbacks, right? I mean, failure is a part of life. It can be tough to bounce back from. What did Hill have to say about that?
Well, Hill had a very, very interesting perspective on failure. He didn't see it as the opposite of success, but rather as a stepping stone on the path to success. He believed that adversity carries the seed of equivalent benefit.
Meaning, there's a lesson in every failure.
More than that, he believed that every challenge, every setback, holds within it an opportunity for growth and learning.
So it's not about avoiding failure. It's about how we choose to respond to it.
Exactly. He believed that persistence and decisiveness were key to overcoming those inevitable challenges.
Yeah.
He often said that most people, they give up right before they're about to achieve a breakthrough.
So it's about having that grit to keep going even when things get tough.
You got it.
And that actually brings us to another crucial principle, self-discipline.
Oh, self-discipline. Huge one.
Huge, and I'm guessing even more important in today's world of distractions.
Oh, absolutely. You're preaching to the choir.
Yep. Okay, so tell me more. How did Hill view self-discipline? What were the keys to mastering it, in his opinion? Okay, so tell me more. How did Hill view self-discipline? What were the keys to mastering it, in his opinion?
Well, for Hill, self-discipline was all about taking control of your time, your impulses, those nagging doubts that whisper, give up.
Oh, I know those doubts all too
Yeah,
well.
right. They're the worst. But Hill truly believed that time was our most precious asset, even more so than money, which is saying something.
Interesting.
Yeah, and he was a big advocate for creating a time budget.
The time budget, just like we'd have a financial budget.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You allocate your time intentionally to activities that align with your goals, your values. And it's not just about managing time, it's also about, well, it's also about identifying and overcoming those personal obstacles we all have.
You mean like procrastination? Or that fear of failure that can really hold you back?
Exactly those things. He wanted people to get really honest with themselves, figure out what their inner roadblocks were, and then develop strategies to bulldoze right through them.
So self-awareness is like a superpower when it comes to self-discipline.
Absolutely. Once you understand your patterns, then you can start to change them. And, self-discipline, it isn't just about pushing yourself harder. It's also about being kind to yourself.
That's a good reminder. It's easy to be our own worst critics sometimes. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, but there are still a few more principles to uncover in Hill's success formula, right? What's next?
Next up, we have a principle that I think you'll find particularly interesting, especially with, your passion for connecting with people. Pleasing personality.
Okay, pleasing personality. I like the sound of that. But I have a feeling it's more than just being nice to everyone.
You're right, it's more than just surface-level niceness. He'll believe that having a pleasing personality wasn't about being fake or putting on a show. It was about cultivating genuine warmth, sincerity, empathy in your interactions. He saw it as this powerful tool for building relationships, influencing others, and ultimately achieving greater success.
It's like that saying, people might not remember what you said, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
Exactly. He'll even outline 25 factors that he believed contribute to a pleasing personality, and some of them might surprise you.
Oh, like, well, give me an example.
Well, one of them was controlling your tone of voice. He believed that how you say something is often just as important as what you say. Like a warm, friendly tone, it can make all the difference in how your message is received, no matter what you're talking about.
It's so true, right? You could say the nicest thing in the world, but if it's delivered with a harsh tone or a sarcastic tone, it totally changes the meaning. It's like that old saying, you catch more flies with honey than with vinegar.
Precisely. And, Hill's ideas about a pleasing personality, they weren't just about getting ahead in business or anything like that. He saw them as essential for creating a more harmonious and fulfilling life overall.
It's about building genuine connections with people,
Exactly.
fostering trust and mutual respect.
Exactly. Creating a positive and uplifting presence that draws people in.
I love that. Okay, so we've got just one more principle left to explore, and it's the one that's, well, it's both intriguing and a little bit mysterious. Cosmic habit force.
Ah, yes, cosmic habit force. This one definitely delves into I guess you could say the more esoteric aspects of Hill's thinking, but it's fascinating nonetheless.
I'm all ears, hit me. What did Hill mean by cosmic habit force?
Well, this principle, it builds on Hill's belief that there's this universal force at play in our lives. This force that shapes not only our external circumstances, but also our thoughts, habits, and behaviors.
So we're all connected to this like invisible energy that influences our actions, maybe even our destinies.
That was Hill's belief.
Yeah.
He felt that by understanding and aligning ourselves with this cosmic habit force, we could tap into this incredible power for achieving our goals and just, living more fulfilling lives.
It's a powerful idea to think that our habits aren't just these random things we do, but that they're connected to something much larger than ourselves.
Exactly. It has a whole other dimension to this idea of personal transformation, doesn't it?
It really does. Wow, this has been incredible. We've covered so much ground today, from definiteness of purpose to cosmic habit force. And I think it's safe to say that Napoleon Hill, he was a visionary thinker who offered this really powerful roadmap for success. And these lost lectures, they give us even deeper insights into his philosophy.
Absolutely. And, he truly believed that success was a science, not a matter of luck. He gave us the formulas. It's up to us to apply them.
Well said. And you know what I find so inspiring about Hill's work is that these principles, they're timeless, they're universal, they transcend time, they transcend cultures, backgrounds, and they're just as relevant today as they were, well, as they were back when he first shared them all those years ago.
Couldn't agree more.
This has been an amazing deep dive into the mind of Napoleon Hill, and I encourage everyone listening, keep exploring these ideas, see how they resonate with you, and maybe even try applying them to your own life. Who knows what amazing things you might achieve.
Until next time, keep those minds curious and those dreams alive.